What brings you out onto the internet on such a dark night, traveler? The crumbling podcast at the top of the hill. Why, that's Smash Fiction Presents Hard Choices. No, I wouldn't listen to that podcast if I were you. It's a haven of vampires. Sexy vampires. The tales you've heard of sultry, ferocious creatures of the night, slumbering in the dark? Well, I don't think they're doing much slumbering, wink wink, nudge nudge, sign of the cross. But other than that, the tales are true. And that's not all. There are podcast hosts there too. Vampire fans. Real weird, horny coffin straddlers all. Some unholy fire drives them to rank the vampires, seeking the median, the nadir, and the zenith of undead fuckability, and to leave strewn in their wake all the monsters they graveyard smashed along the way. My God, it's too late. I see them now, swarming from the depths of their podcast like so many McElroys. It is I, your disturbingly long-fingered host, Chris Newton. And with me are my children of the night. Hear her howl, the ravening wolf called Claire Mulcairn.
Apparently I found my calling in life, which is doing podcasts about how much I want to fuck certain vampires relative to other vampires.
Behold, the dire and delightful bat squeaks of Megan Bob.
Is that a wooden stake in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
And tremble at the meow of a less iconic beast, but one of great ecological significance to the Carpathians, the Eurasian lynx called Kit Mulcairn.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. My mom's from Romania, so that's got to count for something.
Okay, so that's the intro. That's it. Everybody can talk like regular people again.
Great.
So, and we get to go about our regular people business. We get to rank walking corpses according to how much we want to bone them. And we could sit here and name off fuckable vampires indefinitely, obviously. Probably that is someone's podcast, but it is not this podcast. We have narrowed our discussion down to 21 vampires, chosen to give us a diverse sample from the whole spectrum of vampire media. A couple of notable criteria. We've limited ourselves to one vampire from each franchise, with one partial exception. And we have mostly excluded vampires of non-human species, like Count Von Count, although I don't remember whether that was something we agreed on or whether most of us are just too repressed to acknowledge that Muppets are sexual creatures. There were so many choices for this list. I know that listeners must be wrapped in anticipation to know who we left out and why we're wrong. But before we can reveal the list, we need to have a definition. Megan Bob, you've often been described as the Rupert Giles of boners. Can you define fuckability for us?
All right. Fuckability is not about what they look like. That can be a bean on the scale, but it's about what they fuck like. So you have to assume, baseline, you are into them, they are into you. How good is the sex? What is it like?
With that, let's unearth the characters we're discussing today. First, though, a few honorable mentions. I'm first on this, and my first honorable mention is Gangrel from WWE, the professional wrestler, also known as Vampire Warrior. He's not the most attractive or complex or notable vampire in pop culture. That's why he didn't make the list. But I just want to say, legit nice guy, always has a smile on his face, looks like he's having a great time. And there's something to be said for just like a big, enthusiastic guy with a great attitude, makes up for a lot. And also, the fangs are real. So if you're into fangs, they got to stay out. They can't go in. Number 2, Lily Munster. Again, there's not a lot here. It's very Donna Reed, but like a MILF vampire? Yeah. A MILF vampire.
Yeah.
That's worth so much. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, you know, whatever network it was out here doing MILF vampire representation long before the rest of us ever dreamed of that world. Thank you.
Dang, I'm sad she's not on the list now.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Number 3, Count Von Count. He's the Sesame Street Muppet based on Bela Lugosi's portrayal of Count Dracula. He's afflicted with the classic vampire trait of arithmomania, the compulsion to count things, which has helped countless children learn their numbers. So, vampire game, recognize vampire game. We honor you, Count. However, this is as close as Hard Choices is ever going to get to Sesame Street.
Next up, we have Raziel from the Legacy of Kain series. One of my favorite characters ever. Legacy of Kain is great. He was like a vampire prince boy who gets betrayed by his other vampire buddies, and they throw him in a lake, and then he dies for the second time. And then he comes back as a vampire ghost who can temporarily take physical form, and he eats souls. And his sword is himself. It's a time travel thing. I don't want to explain it. You know, he went back in time, became his own sword. There's a lot of games. They get very weird after a while, but I love them. One reason I didn't want to have him on the list is we know he can suck the soul right out of your body. But
oh, shit.
I have got Miriam and John Blaylock from The Hunger. They narrowly missed the cut for this list, but we have to mention them. The Hunger is a foundational movie. There's so many of the things we're going to talk about that come directly from The Hunger as an inspiration, including, by the way, in American Horror Story, the vampire season, that whole big like foursome scene is basically a ripoff of the opening of The Hunger. So they got cut because they're so similar to other things on the list. But yeah, you have to respect the originals. And by the way, Susan Sarandon in that movie, goddamn. But anyway, yes, that's it.
And finally, the best vampire on this list. Number 6, Peter Lowe. He's a vampire. He's a vampire. He's a vampire. You get it. Or maybe he's just Nicolas Cage's greatest tragic asshole protagonist who has a psychotic break, buys some plastic vampire fangs, and definitely actually eats a live cockroach. For this, we honor you, Peter Lowe / Nicolas Cage, but we are not fucking you.
Today.
Spoilers.
Those are the honorable mentions. Now we enter of our own free will into the list.
Number 1, Blade, a sword-wielding vampire-killing machine. Half human, half vampire, and all biceps. From the movie series Blade.
Number 2, Spike, the duster-clad killer and erstwhile boyfriend of vampire slayers in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Number 3, Viago, a sweet boy vampire currently residing in New Zealand with his 3 flatmates. I mean, he still kills people, but he's not, a dick about it. And he's from What We Do in the Shadows.
Number 4, Alucard, the rebellious son of Dracula, who hates his dad so much that he changed his own name to be his dad's name backward. That is not a joke. From Castlevania.
Number 5, Maximilian, former vampire in the Caribbean, now a vampire in Brooklyn from A Vampire in Brooklyn.
Number 6, Edward Cullen, a handsome but brooding but handsome forever teenager from the Twilight series.
Number 7, the Countess, glamorous owner of the Hotel Cortez who everyone is gaga for, from American Horror Story Hotel.
Number 8, David, the charming, citation needed, jackass leader of a gang of 80s ass vampire motorcycle punks from Lost Boys.
Number 9, Cassidy, hard-living, undead Irish son of a bitch from Preacher.
Number 10, Laurel, a flannel-wearing small-town trans girl who has just moved to LA and been initiated into a vampire girl gang from the movie Bit.
Number 11, Lady Dimitrescu, a 9-foot-tall mass-murdering cannibal aristocrat that apparently makes everyone on the internet want to say, "Step on me, mommy."
Wonderful.
Number 12, Lestat, a handsome, sensitive, complex vampire from Interview with the Vampire. No, not him, the other one. No, not him, the other one.
Number 13, Vampirella, vampire bombshell with an indeterminate origin and an iconic red costume from numerous Vampirella comic book series.
Number 14, I'm sorry if I pronounced this last name incorrectly, Pam Swinford du Beaufort, the owner of the vampire nightclub Fangtasia, a shrewd and horny smartass with wit and fashion as sharp as her fangs, from True Blood.
Number 15, Celine, a leather-clad werewolf-hunting gunfu assassin from Underworld.
Number 16, Santanico Pandemonium, vampire queen and star attraction of the Titty Twister bar in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Number 17, the inseparable Therese and Jeanette Vorman, identical twin odd couple and vampire rulers of Santa Monica in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. There might be spoilers for these characters going forward, so be warned if you're going to play the games.
Number 18, Carmilla, the sarcastic goth roommate from hell, from the web series Carmilla.
Number 19, Akasha, ancient Egyptian vampire queen from Queen of the Damned.
Number 20, Adam, reclusive musician and romantic from Only Lovers Left Alive.
And finally, 21, Dracula. You may be asking yourself, well, but which version of Dracula? We could, no joke, do an entire Hard Choices episode all about the different versions of Dracula. And I'm not saying we'll never do that, but for this, we are doing things a little bit differently. Each person is going to rank their own favorite version of Dracula from any work of fiction they choose as the representative of Dracula.
Let's begin our ranking, as always, with number 11 on our respective lists, our median vampires. Claire, who is your number 11?
After some last-minute shuffling a minute ago, my number 11 is now Lady Dimitrescu.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm shocked too. I feel like I like the internet's conception of the character more than I like the actual character. I watched some Let's Plays. She lives in a gross house with a bunch of gross weirdos around her, and she's also just not a very sexual or horny person in the parts of the game that I was seeing. I still will let her step on me, but just not as,
No, Claire, I gasped because she's also my number 11.
Oh, great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And not because I dislike her, it's because there's just so much hotness on this list. Okay, so just going forward, y'all, the way I made my list is really trying to sort of weigh on the scales of sanity here. How hot is this person versus how likely are they to kill me during or after sex? And she gon' kill me, for sure. But, oh yeah, vampire MILF.
So my number 11 is Therese and Jeanette Vorman. This is a problematic character, but basically I decided to ignore that and look at what you get with her as she is in the fiction. And it's a compelling double act. You get the suit vampire with Therese, you get the pigtails with Jeanette, you get the top and the extra strength power bottom. It's the complete package. And to paraphrase Triple H, she's not a lot of things hetero, but chromatic is one of them. 2 different eye colors, which is very cool. On the other hand, she's not the best suit vampire or the best pigtails vampire, And whatever she does with you, she's just working on her own shit. So middle of the pack for me.
Big feels. Celine from Underworld. And this is weird because I am into it. Girl tops werewolves, power move. Also, she's willing to break all her cultural norms for the forbidden dick. But part of me identifies too closely with her to really enjoy it because I feel like we're riding the same fuck wavelength. And that really complicates my boner. So I guess I had to put her at number 11 to kind of go, I feel so middling about this.
Okay, well, let's move on to number 12. Kit, who is your number 12?
Funnily enough, Celine from Underworld. She's hot, no doubt. And, I don't think she'd kill me. Maybe if I played my cards right, she won't. But, she's very serious, and I'm not really into kind of stoic people. So, yeah, I'm here for the bang. I'm here for not getting murdered.
That is a good segue to me, because my number 12 is Blade. Once again, good looking, cool. I like that he has an attractive beast side as opposed to becoming gross. He's heroic, but he's just so reserved. He has so much shit to do. I can't imagine him taking the time to make sex good. He could, but I don't think he would do it. Bob, who's your number 12?
Alucard, he's gorgeous. And if you can accept that you are permanently in charge of being the top, then I bet it's fine. I don't think it's for me, but I bet it's fine.
And what about you, Claire?
So my number 12, I'm sorry everyone, is Santanico Pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal. She's a type of vampire that is pretty common on this list for me, which I have dubbed the dull Dominatrix. She is like an attractive dom lady that I want to be into, but I just can't because of how unspecific her personality is. She's not a very deep character. She's not very well written. And so I just can't like buy into the reality of her being a person. She's still like hot. So middle of the list.
Time for number 13. And I'll start here. My number 13 is Pam, whatever day, whatever. I'm not really familiar with Pam. I just checked out highlights of her on YouTube. I feel like I get it. I can get into her kind of character, but it just feels so affected to me. Maybe that's just partly what True Blood is like. I just feel like you want somebody who can put on a show of being aloof and in control, but who is actually like tuned in enough to have decent sex with you. And this is the opposite. Like she's going to pretend to be super thirsty, but actually she's totally somewhere else. And that's, I don't know, not appealing to me. What about you, Bob? What's number 13 for you?
Speaking of people who are somewhere else, my 13 is Blade. Textbook workaholic. Chris, I so agree with you. Could be balls deep in you looking at his phone just in case he needs to leave something to kill vampires. Fuck that. But I bet what you get is still all right. But like, man, don't fucking look at your phone while I'm fucking you. That's rude.
Claire, what is your number 13?
My number 13 is one of my big feels. It is Maximilian from Vampire in Brooklyn. So, on the surface, Maximilian seems like he'd be really good. He seems like the cool, confident Dracula type, the archetypal vampire master. But for me, the secret sauce with that archetype is that angst, that longing and self-hatred and stuff. That little bit of Phantom of the Opera energy. I don't feel that from Max. When he's pursuing the woman in the movie, it feels more like he just has to do it so his vampire boss doesn't yell at him. Like, he's like, oh, I have to like make this, prophecy come true. But I don't feel him wanting her, And also he sometimes shapeshifts into a character from like Nutty Professor 2 The Clumps, basically. And that's not, it just does like Eddie Murphy shtick, and that's not great. Would be much further down, but then there is that one scene where we do get to hear through the wall the sounds that a woman is making as Max is having sex with her, and she seems to be really enjoying herself. So clearly he's doing something right.
How about number 13 for you, Kit?
Viago. As I've said before, I love a sweet boy. I love a sweet little fuck. A romantic little fuck, I think is how I put it originally. Viago strikes me as the kind of guy that probably doesn't even think about fucking unless he's in love. Do I want to be in a loving relationship with Iago? Not really. I think I'm going to have to sneak out the window. But at least he's not going to kill me, right?
Onward to number 14. Bob, who is your number 14?
Lestat. God, it's going to be luxurious and decadent and horrifying. I definitely want it. But the risks of being trapped in this relationship with a baby is for real.
Yeah.
What about you, Claire? Number 14.
My number 14 is Akasha. More like Queen of the Bland.
Oh.
Like, her style is great, her vibe is great, and then she starts talking. And the dialogue in this movie, I just can't. I just can't. She is a dominatrix. Lower because Santanico, because she does not dance with a snake.
All right, the math checks out. That's fine.
Who's your number 14, Kit?
Maximilian. He's definitely gonna kill me, but he's handsome. Worth it.
I like that the strength of this list is such that he'd kill me, but it would be worth it as number 14. For me, number 14 is Celine. I'm just not interested. If the storyboard artist from Underworld is available, maybe I'd fuck them. But like in terms of the whole movie and the characters, basically the entire value of them can be encapsulated in a GIF of Kate Beckinsale calmly walking while shooting guns. That's all you need. And that's not enough for me. Number 15, Claire, who is your number 15?
Viago. When he goes on a quote-unquote date with a human woman, that then turns into him feeding on her, we see how awkward he is at every stage of that, and how terribly it goes in the end. I don't imagine that an actual real date would be much better. Awkward, brief, lots of stained fabric by the end of it. Still a sweet boy, though. Not the worst.
Kit, you're number 15.
I don't know if this one's a big feels or just a confused feels for me, but Pam from True Blood, like, she's sassy. She got that, like, mommy energy a little bit, but I don't know why, but I'm not, like, I don't feel like sleeping with her would be worth dying. Maybe it's because being blonde loses points for me. I'm not really into blonde, but there's definitely blondes on this list that I'm more attracted to. I don't know. Something's weird with Pam and me. It's not meant to be Pam.
Number 15 for me is Alucard. Good looking, I guess, although he's not really my thing. Personality, fine. But two things, I did research Alucard. Number one, in Symphony of the Night, a succubus attempts to manipulate him by pretending to be his mom, because that's the best that the succubus can do, which tells us about Alucard. Number two, Alucard has a sex scene in the Netflix series. It's a threesome, and all we see Alucard do is like a little bit of tentative kissing and then trembling and shedding a single tear.
Yeah. That is true.
He's just going to lie back and blush. That's his sex move. That's it. So that's number 15 for me.
It's a pretty bad finisher.
That's true. Bob, you're number 15.
The Countess. Okay. The sex will have high production values. The wardrobe and the lighting will be amazing. I will remember nothing except how pretty it was.
Number 16. Kit, who's your number 16?
Spike. He's so not my type, from the frosted tips to the everything else. God, like, the only thing good about him is that he's, like, kind of funny. So, I don't know, man. Keep moving.
Number 16 for me is Viago. I like Viago. I think he might be a great time, maybe even a great relationship. But the thing is, a lot of the characters on this list, if you're going to attend to the fiction, could not possibly be bad in bed. Like, on the level of, like, can they have sex? Yes, all these characters can fuck. Except Viago. Like, it would be fully in character for him to be awful. And between that and the fact that, like, he doesn't really have the physical appeal to make up for it being bad and boring, he ends up toward the bottom of my list. Bob, you're number 16.
Adam from Only Lovers Left Alive. Like, he's very sad, and I am drawn to that. But I'm not interested in finding out what a nihilistic fuck is, so thank you. But I do like the sad.
I am also having him as 16, Bob, for the same reasons. I will not be the one to break him out of his centuries-long funk. He'll just be disassociating the entire time, you know. That being said, Eve apparently likes him, and she is great, so yeah, right? Maybe she knows something I don't. I might still give him a chance.
Number 17. I'm first on number 17, and I have Edward Cullen. I think the conventional thing to do would be to put him
far too high.
I was going to say, you think, right? Like, let's put him at or near the bottom of the list. He's the worst. He's the worst vampire. We've all agreed. But honestly, his problem is that he's a vampire and a romance novel protagonist. So he's getting judged according to two contradictory rubrics. That's why everybody judges Edward so harshly. If you put the genre aside, what you have here is basically, this is a big feel, by the way. He's basically like a hot, somewhat conservative, somewhat boring, fundamentally decent, but kind of naively controlling dude. Kind of like a lower grade fixer-upper boyfriend. Like, it's not great, but, you know. And canonically, if you want to get pounded dangerously hard by someone, he's your guy. He also would probably, like, do any other stuff you want him to. I don't think he'd get it. He wouldn't be into it, but he'd do it. If your sexual fantasy is deluxe missionary position, Edward Cullen is the vampire for you. That's not great, but it's not murder either. So number 17.
Jeez.
Chris, your shade could protect all these vampires from the sun. The shade.
The sun would only make him prettier, kid. Bob, who is your number 17?
Laurel, because I came here to fuck vampires, not deal with cool teens. And Laurel is so cool. Laurel is a cool, fun teen. And I want to nurture her and, like, guide her and buy her a coffee. I don't want to, like, fuck her.
Claire, you're number 17.
Cassidy. There will probably be a smell of cigarettes and blood and truck stop bathroom. He would be at the, like, bottom of the list, but he also does seem like the type who might just surprise you by having, like, an enormous dick for no reason. I just feel that vibe.
Kit, you're number 17.
Blade from Blade. He's stoic, which I've said is not my thing. He's a beefy boy, which is not my thing, if you've listened to past episodes. I don't think he'll kill me.
Number 18. Bob, who's your number 18?
Carmilla. I'm gonna hate it. I'm sorry. She's really functional and normal, and I feel nothing. This says so much more about me than it does about Carmilla. I'm so sorry.
Bob, I'm gonna jump in. She also my 18.
Oh, dang.
So, more because I did not feel like watching a web series. As I just looked at pictures of her, a la Lord of the Rings. And I was like, yeah, she's all right. I don't know if she'll kill me or not, but she's not like so hot that I would take the chance.
Claire, who's your number 18?
The Countess. On the American Horror Story Wiki, under personality, it says for her, fashionable and stunningly beautiful, Elizabeth is both complex and emotionally layered. That's a lie. Well, maybe if I watch the whole show, but fuck no, was I going to do that? I watched a few episodes. She is a bag of flour. I cannot tell you what her personality is supposed to be. Not the absolute bottom of the list because it's still Lady Gaga with a cool spiky chainmail glove, but the worst example of a dominatrix, as I have said.
Number 18 for me is Lestat. He's cool in Interview with the Vampire, but his stock immediately drops like anywhere else outside of that book. I find him just to be like self-centered in the worst, most boring way, particularly shallow in Queen of the Damned. And he's only ever interesting in relationships with particular characters. Like he needs to be with an interesting person. And like, I guess I'm interesting, but I'm not that interesting. Like I'm not enough to redeem Lestat. Claire, who is your number 19?
Also Lestat. Least sexy vampire dude in Interview with the Vampire. If it was Armand on this list, even Louis would do significantly better. However, weirdly enough, Swamp Zombie Lestat can kind of get it. When he shows up at the end and he's like all gray and covered in leaves and he's sad, he's all humiliated and degraded and like, hi, Louis. I'm like, I'm a little turned on just seeing him like take it down. I'm like, I kind of, I want to degrade him further. I would be.
Kit, who's your number 19?
Laurel from Bit. Okay, first of all, let's just pretend I'm 18, because otherwise it's nasty, right?
Yep.
I normally love teenager characters because of their stupid flaws, but I could not stand Laurel. I was in it. I was like, okay, here's this teen making bad choices. Let's do this. But she stays... She's like really... Okay, maybe this is a big feels. She's really stoic in a way that like goes beyond a lot of teenager characters. And the thing that like finished it for me was that she fucks over her brother in such a major way. And even after he does his big speech like about everything she's kind of put him through, and he still gets fucked over, she's not really sorry. Like her apology is one of those like, I'm sorry, but this is how it is kind of sorries. And I'm like, fuck off. You are never interesting, and now I just don't like you as a person, and I don't really believe you're gonna learn to be a better person. So I don't care. It's like, no, like don't even get close to me.
Okay.
Number 19 for me, and this is a big feel. It is David from Lost Boys. I like Lost Boys. I like David as a character, but the whole point is that he is like the archetypal bad first boyfriend. This is like you are awakening to your sexuality and there is the worst possible man in the vicinity. And that's what the story is. I mean, that's a valid vampire story. It's like at the center of this is not this like tragic, sensitive anti-hero. It is a straight up predator and you need to get over your horniness and stake them. And that can be a sexy story. And in a certain way, I think Lost Boys is, but it's a question of when the illusion falls apart. And in David's case, as soon as he puts his hands on you, his sheer egotism, you're going to realize you made a mistake.
I'm right there with you. David is also my number 19. My concerns were a little bit more prosaic. I am gravely concerned that the Doors will be playing while we fuck, and that's a hard no for me. And probably he's also weirdly protective of his hair.
His nasty ass fucking.
Yeah, he's like, don't touch it, babe. And you're like, Jesus, I didn't want to. It's gross.
I just wanted to get a little dry shampoo in there. Jesus.
Number 20. Claire, who's your number 20?
My number 20 is also David from Lost Boys. I hate David. I hate him with my life. He's everything. I can't. Just everything you said. Everything you said. I can't.
It's bad, y'all.
Kit, you're number 20.
Yeah, take Laurel, but like worse, Edward Cullen. Fuck him. Next. Except don't fuck him. Wait, hold on. Take backsies. Don't fuck him. Just keep going.
Number 20 for me is Cassidy. Some people, really interesting people. They're characters. You have a fun time hanging out with them, but at the same time, you're acutely aware that this is as good as it gets with them. You do not want to get 1 inch further into their life because that's where all the consequences live. I think like Bedraggled Junkie is kind of a cool look, I guess, but I'm not sure that it works in the bedroom. Like, I don't know if it's a sexy look. His sense of humor is good, but I can enjoy that from a distance. There's nothing about Cassidy that says, if you like this, just wait until we get naked.
Darkness has fallen upon the land where Chris stands.
Bob, who is your number 20?
Therese and Jeanette Vorman. They're just the wrong flavor of toxic. Like, I'm not against toxic. Very clearly not against toxic. But it has to be the right kind. And it's just not the right kind for me.
Finally, number 21. I'm first on this one. And I'm going to ignore my apparently incorrect pronunciation guide here and attempt to pronounce it the way Kit suggests. Dimitrescu?
Dimitrescu?
Yeah. Okay. Like Claire, I watched some YouTube footage of the actual game as opposed to the internet hype. Super prudy vibes from this character. Even if you're into shame, like, it has to end in sex at some point. It's like, I wouldn't fuck somebody who gets off on hurting dogs. And this is that, only I'm the dog. That's where we're at. Bob, who is your number 21?
I'm basic. It's Edward Cullen. But I want to say, I have a reason. Okay, so, bad news. You're being stalked. Worse news. Your stalker is boring and only likes missionary. The fucking nightmare. The nightmare of that.
Claire, who is your number 21?
Also Edward. It's the clear choice. It's the right choice. It's boring, but whatever. I have to call Miles for help because I haven't actually read Twilight. I wanted to get some specifics. The worst thing about fucking Edward, there's 2. Number 1, he does not want to have sex outside of marriage. So if I'm fucking him, that means I'm married to him. And no. The second worst thing about fucking Edward, he can read my mind. So that means that he will know during every moment of our fucking just how much I hate him. Unlike with other people on this list that I hate, I can't even fake it with him.
Although, that could be a plus if you're into a hate fuck. Like, you get to hate fuck him from the front row.
Not with him. He is not worth my hate.
Oh, wow.
Kit, who is your number 21?
Surprising no one, David from Lost Boys. There's nothing. There's nothing there that could possibly be worth even being in the same room as him.
Okay. Scathing there at the end. With number 21, we have reached the nadir of vampire fuckability. Our boners, so full of blasphemous vitality when we entered this oubliette of pale boobs. This boobliette, if you will. Now lie limp and pale upon its very floor. But the sun is setting, and now is the hour for our boners to rise up and stalk the night once more. May and Bob, will you please begin our rebound to the zenith of vampire fuckability with your choice for number 10?
Maximilian. He's got a single-minded thirst for the most part, and that bodes well for having some this is a terrible decision sex, which is a really fun flavor of sex. So I'm broadly on board.
All right. Claire, your number 10.
My number 10 is another one of my big feels. And it is Celine from Underworld. So Celine is an example of another vampire archetype that appears a few times on this list, which is my favorite vampire archetype, the hottie guard. This is the repentant vampire who in their story often ends up like shepherding like a normie or a relatively more normie than themselves and protecting them from the bad vampires. and they have the angst, but they're also like not a bad person and won't kill you. Beyond that, Celine's a little boring and kind of wooden, but you could interpret that, kind of like Bob did with Javik in the Mass Effect episode, is like, oh, you could break through and get to the other side. And if you can fantasize about that for Javik, I can fantasize about that for Celine. She's kind of not the best written, but yeah. You also do see her having sex in the second movie. It is fairly conventional missionary, which is not the word. Missionary's fine.
It's fine.
I also like kissing and cuddling, and that seemed nice.
Kit, who is your number 10?
Therese and Jeanette from Bloodlines. Really just Jeanette. If I came over and it was Therese there, I'd be like, oh, actually, you know what? Turns out I had a thing. But if I come over and it's Jeanette, I'm like, yeah, girl, let's go. She seems fun.
For me, number 10 is Carmilla from the web series. The thing is, she's sexy, kind of. I think she is. She's nowhere near the top of, like, the fuckability leaderboard in that show. Like, LaFontaine and, like... what's her name? Andy, the tall one? Fuck me.
Her?
Like that.
Yes. Oh, my lord.
So it's like, she looks less sexy against that background. But I think the fundamentals on Carmilla are good. And I like that, like, her cynicism is authentic, but also there's more to her. So, yeah. Number 9. Claire, who is your number 9?
My number 9 is Alucard from Castlevania. He's got the vampire tortured thing and self-hating, but he's also driven and compassionate. And he also feels similar in some ways to the way that I hear a lot of teenage girls feel about David Bowie in Labyrinth. That, like, non-threatening masculinity, baby's first angsty boy, And that hair.
Kit, you're number 9.
Santanico. Listen. I think it was Claire who said, boring. Claire's not wrong.
Yeah.
But this woman is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't care if she's boring and she's going to kill me, please.
It's me now. My number 9 is the Countess. Obviously, she's hot. She's overtly sexual, unlike a lot of these other characters. Has a lot of charisma. But she's just shallow. And, like, I think if we're doing a ranking of the vampire who's going to have the best time having sex, it's her. But when you look at her actual sexual relationships, it's kind of high school, She's self-absorbed. She gets what she wants from people. And there's no other level to go to. I think 9 is the cap, despite everything. Bob, you're number 9.
Big feels. Akasha. Look.
Oh.
Sometimes you go to a restaurant for the ambiance. I don't know that she's ever particularly needed to be good at sex. But if she fucks in a bathtub full of rose petals, I'm kind of okay with a C-. Like, imagine, okay, I don't know, covertly fucking in a confessional booth or something. The point isn't how great someone's technique is, because you're not going to be remembering how they twisted their wrist, but you're definitely going to remember the smell of the incense and the feel of that wood pressing against your back. Ambiance matters, and she fucking gets that, and I respect it.
Number 8. Kit, who is your number 8?
Oh, fancy you calling me Akasha. Look, she's at least a bit more interesting than Santanico. Fucking stunning. Definitely will kill me. Definitely worth it.
I'm going to jump in on this, because my number 8 is Santanico Pandemonium. She specifically has seduction powers, and I'm just imagining, like, how she uses that. It's in this shitty bar. There's no air conditioning. The sweat's running down your back. There's these neon lights buzzing. Oh my God. It's going to be so evocative and interesting, and you're probably going to die, but that's kind of a fun way to go.
Those hips?
Yeah.
They've never lied in their life.
My number 8 is Spike. This is my top spot on the list for, like, leather jacket vampires. I like the aesthetic. I like that he's vulnerable. Like, the fact that he's not impeccable, the fact that the look is kind of silly at the same time that it's, like, coded cool, that works for me. He's legitimately dangerous, can be really manipulative, but he also actually cares about people. There is another level to him. And I like that he is not this, like, angsty, sensitive character. He does feel a way about being immortal and a monster. So pretty much topping out the leather jacket category for me.
So my number 8 is Therese and Jeanette. I got no problem being in a throuple, even if the other two are in the same body. I find both of them to be pretty damn sexy. More so Therese than Jeanette. You know, I like the nerdy librarian more than the violent schoolgirl in pigtails, but who am I kidding? Jeanette can also get it. I'm that basic.
She fun.
I'm the first to go for number 7, and my number 7 is Vampirella. It's hard to rate Vampirella because there are so many different versions of the character, but generally speaking, she has a sense of humor. Her stories have a sense of humor. She's cool. She's self-possessed. She's casually sexy. She's kind of like a bit of a Barbarella, but she also has relationships. You know, she's not just kind of wandering from thing to thing. She has people she develops a relationship with. So that's good for sex with a busy vampire, especially, you know. She's heroic, but she's not goody-goody. I don't know what else to say about it, except she's not higher because she doesn't really have her own erotic sensibility. She's just kind of up for whatever. So that's putting a ceiling on her for me.
My number 7 is also Vampirella, actually.
Huh.
Certified hottie guard. And you mentioned that her personality varies a bit, but if, for instance, Grant Morrison is writing her, then she is very fun and sassy. And unlike some of the other vampires, she has kind of fantastical vampire powers a little bit. She can like shapeshift to grow like bat wings. And that means she can fly while holding you in her arms with little, and like, that's great. And she's great.
Bob, who is your number 7?
Lady Dimitrescu. I took none of my cues from the fucking game. All of my cues came from a webcomic that somebody made about her and Claire's story about the Lady in White. That is the only Lady Dimitrescu I will accept. Fucking Capcom doesn't know what the shit they're talking about. It is the kind of sex that is painfully hot and you can never tell anyone about because it's so fucked up. And you're like, I have to live knowing this forever and it will die with me. That's amazing.
Kit, who is your number 7?
I know this is a bad decision, guys, but it's Lestat. I know we're gonna need an intervention, but like, I know he's gonna kill me, and he's not even a nice person. But I kind of want it anyway.
No, I get it.
I just am like, yeah, the sex is gonna be hot, even if he's not especially giving. I'm like, I'm nasty for it. I'm sorry. I think it's just Tom Cruise's energy in that role. Because specifically Interview with the Vampire Lestat is great, whereas fucking Queen of the Damned.
Not a Stuart Townsend fan?
Rose from his grave due to the sound of new metal.
Oh my God. We're going to need a separate podcast for that movie.
Number 6, Bob, who is your number 6?
Spike. So, the stalker that acts like he's gonna fuck you and then makes love to you. And he's a total hair sniffer while you're sleeping. And I'm worryingly into it.
Bob, I'm not opposed to like hair sniffing, but the way you made it sound is so gross.
Oh, if it's not gross, if he does it in a sweet way, I'm gonna be pissed at him and kick him out.
Oh.
Claire, who is your number 6?
It's Laurel. The character's like 18. The actress was like, I think 21 at the time of filming or whatever. But if we were hypothetically the same age and we met in a bar, I think I would be into her. She's like adorable. She wears flannel. I am proudly T for T. And she is potentially girlfriend material. But she also has, as Bob pointed to, some kind of like little sister energy to a certain extent where I'm like, you're kind of a dumb little fuck up, and I maybe just want to give you a noogie and like send you on your way. I'm not sure. But yeah, still pretty good.
My number 6 is Laurel as well. I was really surprised at how high she ended up on the list, but I think it's like she's just got real good marks across the board. She's not like exceptional at one thing. It's just like she's as funny as Vampirella. She's kind of like vulnerable in the way that I like from Spike, but cool at the same time. I think she connects more to people physically than anybody else who isn't like way down the list. And she's like a truly decent person. It's like, yeah, like this is what you get with like B to B plus in every category. And I know what you're going to say about her brother, but here's the thing. It was a very difficult, stressful situation. And you know what? A decent person can make serious mistakes. And she made a serious mistake.
It ended up okay at the end.
I wouldn't go that far, but he's dead, but he's doing all right. So Kit, who is your number 6?
There's a lot of sighing in this section. Cassidy from Preacher, the TV show, I might add.
Oh, yeah.
That comic I hear is like even worse in terms of like how terrible everyone is. Everything about how nasty he is that people have said so far is not wrong. But I like funny people. He seems like he's fun. I'm just gonna headcanon Claire's thing about him having a big dick. Sure.
Yeah. I just feel the vibe. I don't know.
I'm remembering the thing you said about Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About how nasty boys, maybe they get down real good.
It's the same type.
Yeah. But like a vampire version of that? Fuck yeah.
Just has the mattress and nothing else in his bedroom.
Saying that Star-Lord is like Cassidy is like a double-sided dildo of a sick burn. That's like everybody loses. Number 5. Claire, who is your number 5?
My number 5, and I think I'm the first person to mention any version of this character, is Dracula. Mine that I picked is the Frank Langella version from the 1979 movie. He has said in interviews that he was playing in this Dracula in this movie not as a villain, but as a romantic lead, and it shows. He is clearly bad news, but also, when you look into his eyes, you feel that longing that I felt like was missing from somebody like Maximilian. He needs you. And this is the only time that while watching a performance of Dracula in any form, I felt that pull, that temptation, like as an audience member.
I gotta watch that shit.
It's some good stuff. It is a great performance.
Kit, who's your number 5?
Another sigh. Adam from Only Lovers Left Alive.
I get it.
I like an attractive sad boy. As long as he's not a peepum, sorry, Bob. And he's only a peepums in number, not in appearance. And I'm shallow. Look, I'm shallow. It's fine.
Secret peepums.
Secret peepums. There's a t-shirt right there. The thing that kind of put him higher on the list for me is that he also kind of seems like one of those people that might not be interested in sex unless he was in love with you. And yeah, I'm okay with the sad boy being in love with me. Let's fuck. Then make a song about it. Yeah. I don't know if I'd like be dedicated to him like the way Eve is, but let's fucking have a little song.
Yeah.
It's great.
My number 5 is Akasha. I think everybody is sleeping on the fact that when these two interacted, Lestat and Akasha, Lestat got like a telepathic info dump of like all the sensual killing that she had done throughout her existence. So like the sexy danger of being a vampire, you get directly into your brain with Akasha. You get to share her history as well as all the features of Akasha that everyone has already talked about. You know, in addition to the bath and in addition to the body and the look and the whole aesthetic, you also get the experience of murder, which I feel like is a big part. Like if you're going to fuck a vampire, you want that, but you also don't want to get murdered. So yeah, and by the way, also, she does not turn on Lestat. Lestat turns on her. So like on the total vampiric spectrum of how worried you need to be about your partner, she's surprisingly low. Food and consort are in 2 separate boxes for her.
Oh, great. She's going to dump a bunch of exposition on me. Oh, my boner.
Did you see any exposition in that scene? That was death and blood. What is not sexy about death and blood?
Hey, Akasha, blow, don't tell.
Oh!
Bob, who is your number 5?
My number 5 is Vampirella. She's a functional hot mess who needs to be loved, and a hot mess sex is great. I rest my case.
Yeah. Kit, who is your number 4?
This is where the sighing stops and the murder begins again. The Countess from American Horror Story. That show series, I believe y'all, is bad. But Lady Gaga has such, like, her charisma has so much power over me that I'm like, yeah, I think it's the gay man inside me. That Lady Gaga's power just works so well on me. I know she's going to kill me. I hope it's during a foursome. Please, mommy. Please. What an honor.
Number 4 for me, and this is my final big feel, is My Dracula. Dracula from Dracula, Pages from a Virgin's Diary. This is a ballet version of Dracula. He's super good looking. He is much more convincingly sympathetic than a lot of other Draculas, but still very dangerous. And this movie has this whole thing. It's got like this theme about like Orientalism and patriarchy and how like the story of Dracula as an immigrant fits into that. But also it's just like straight up sexy. It is the undeniable urge to fuck, and the way that that is being repressed by society in ballet form, it's fantastic. It's a big feel only because everybody needs to go track down Dracula, Pages from a Virgin's Diary. You will not regret it.
Ooh.
Bob, who is your number 4?
Well, speaking of regrets, big feels, Cassidy. I love a horny mess. And Cassidy is a goddamn horny mess. Probably can't fuck for shit, but he's got that accent, and I bet if he smells you're on your period, he comes sniffing around, is like, please, can I go down on you just for a little bit, just for a minute, just for a second, baby, and always ready to go, will fuck literally anywhere. It's like eating fast food. It's not great. It doesn't really fill you up, but something inside you still fucking craves a greasy onion ring, and that's what Cassidy is, and I want to eat onion rings.
Oh, Bob, it's beautiful.
$5 hot and ready.
Oh, that is Cassidy. You're going to regret it and you're going to feel like shit afterwards, but you're not sorry when it's in your mouth.
Claire, who is your number 4?
On a more, I guess, emotionally well-adjusted note, perhaps. Carmilla. Angsty, repentant vampire, goth GF. Please. And she can shapeshift into a giant black cat, and that's just neat.
How big?
It implies like big ol' like panther.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You don't see it on screen because of budget, but it is implied that she can do all sorts of cool vampire stuff.
Let me just take a moment to say that Carmilla is a single shot format web series, and it's fucking amazing that they managed that with the height differential of the cast. Number 3. My number 3 is Santanico Pandemonium, and it is for the most shallow of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There's good looks, and then there's throw your life away good looks.
Yes.
Bless. I'm with you, Chris.
You could maybe make an argument for Akasha or maybe Adam, but like for real on this list, like she's the one, if you know you're going to die, you just might do it anyway. The thing about her being shallow too, the physicality of that scene, that's the dialogue. Her whole body is talking to you.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Bob, who is your number 3?
Pam Swinford de Beaufort.
Oh.
A bitchy, prim, southern bisexual. It struck a chord so deep in me. I have no words for the unspeakable things I would say yes to if she asked.
Claire, who is your number 3?
Also Pam. The one character on this list who, in my opinion, actually delivers on the promise of Lady Vampire Dom. Great outfits, confident, sassy, mean, and most importantly, horny. And horny in a way that feels like an actual horny person with an inner life and agency, and not just like a male gaze fantasy. Sorry, Santanico. You're great, you're wonderful, but as a character, if I take that out, I would choose Pam.
All right, Kit, you're number 3.
Vampirella. Like, honestly, for a lot of the things that Chris was talking about, like, she has this fun personality, depending on who writes her. She's gorgeous, and she's heroic. She's not going to kill me. So, yeah. Hello there. Come save me.
All right, well, let's see if we can keep the well-adjusted choices train rolling. For number 2, Bob, who is your number 2?
Viago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of, yes.
Hey.
There's one on every list, and it's the guy who says, oh, wow, when you touch his dick for the first time. I bet the sex is so bad, but it's gonna be the best bad sex. Yum, 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 yum.
Claire, who is your number 2?
Spike.
Wow.
Gimme.
Because of Spike's slow character arc from bad to good, with the occasional relapse, when you hook up with Spike, you put every vampire trope ever on a random encounter table, and then you roll a fucking d20. Depending on the night, you might get detached cool guy, or violent predator, or sweet sad boy. And I think in this pure fantasy setting, not an actual reality, all of these possibilities are darkly sexy and exciting in a fucked up way. And that unpredictability and volatility is like why people are attracted to vampires in the first place.
Kit, who is your number 2?
This is where my Dracula comes in. Except his name is Alucard because it is the Dracula from Hellsing, the manga first, then it was like 2 different anime. This Dracula really satisfies the monster fuck, if you will. Because he gets to choose the way he looks like, and most of his forms are either gorgeous or terrifying Lovecraftian shadow beings with like way too many eyes and like mouths and teeth. And
I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the time he just, wears a cool ass red outfit and has long black hair, girl. So I'm definitely gonna get eaten by the shadow monster. But man, if he wants to party first, worth to the max. Watch the anime, don't read the manga. The manga's bad. That's like the only time you'll ever hear me say that.
For number 2, that just leaves me, and my number 2 is Maximilian, and this is about reading the text. There is no earthly possibility that Maximilian is not the best fuck of your life. That's canonical. I mean, it's in the movie. It's basically stated. And here's the thing. I totally get he's not really there for you. He doesn't care about you, but he can pretend to care about you. And isn't that what we really want? All I want is someone who can pretend to care about me. He totally does. He doesn't just give people the googly eyes. We see him seduce a woman. He learns about her. He figures her out. He gives her the whole environment. He gives her this is a multi-step process. He figured it out, right? Like if you want to fuck a woman at night, you got to start in the morning. It's like he understands. And despite the fact he's a total bastard, we just can't deny it. We have to accept he's going to be great. Number 1, Claire, who is your number 1?
Blade.
Ooh.
Okay, look. All of y'all are like, totally emotionless. Did you watch Blade? Did you see when he sees Karen lying in the hotel and he's like, I should just leave her to die. I should just go. I should just get her. But then he takes her back against his better nature. He nurses her back to health. He takes care of her. He's going to save you from danger. And he's going to be like, I had to save your ass from trouble again. Next time I'm just going to let you die. But you know that's not going to happen. He's going to save you again because he cares about you. The reason he wears those sunglasses is because if you look into his eyes, you'll know that he wants to be the little spoon.
That's precious.
Kit, who is your number 1?
Look. Listen. I'm predictable, okay?
Oh.
He has long hair, and he's pathetic, and he's sweet, and he's definitely a virgin. And I don't think I've established yet on this show that I am the opposite of Bob in this regard. Give me a virgin. I want to defile him. It's Alucard from Castlevania. Obviously, that's my number 1. I like what I like. I'm totally fine with him sitting there. I'm gonna teach him, and I'm gonna like it, and he's gonna like it, and he's not gonna kill me, and we can start a family of I don't know, 4th vampires. No, wait, I'm a vampire. It's gonna be vampires all the way down.
Well, I'm gonna take over and give you my number 1 because I chose his daddy for my Dracula, the one from Castlevania. So Vlad.
Oh, wow.
Is he a murderer? I mean, sure. But, okay, it's going to be in the library. He's going to be weirdly careful and restrained because he doesn't want to hurt you or scare you. And then you tell him, let go, baby. And it's like fucking a hurricane.
Yes, Bob.
Going to be reshelving those books for a month.
Bob, you take the peepums.
Yeah.
I'll take his son. Got this?
I was gonna say I can see like a romance novel series here. This seems right. Like Bob with Dracula, Kit with Alucard.
We're going to clear out this Romanian bar.
And finally, my number one is well here, okay. I got a list for you. Pigtails. That is the only thing anyone has on this list that Adam doesn't have. He is fucking, I mean, super hot, humane, decent, cynical, cool, cultured, capable of passion, yet he, like, you can hang out with him, you can play chess with him, you can listen to music, he's funny. He's more of an actual gentleman than Edward Cullen, if that's your thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not as dangerous as Santanico or Spike or the Countess, but I think he's at the ideal danger level for me, which is like, I don't want to be killed, but I want to know that he's at least thought about killing me. And that's where Adam is. Yeah, Adam is number one for me. It was not too close. That's it. Now that we've all revealed our complete ranking, it's time to dig a little deeper. Each of us may now ask a question or two of another host to get some clarification/justification of their choices in a segment called Let's Unpack That.
Claire.
Yes.
I am very intrigued by the fact that you put Cassidy at 17. And I don't think you're wrong to put him there because Lord knows my feelings about Star-Lord. But I think that the Star-Lord comparison with Cassidy makes sense in terms of like, this is a man who has none of his shit together and is probably terrible. But you did say like unaccountably might have a huge dick.
Yes.
Do you feel like he doesn't have the mystical sex thing that you're like, yeah, he's shitty at everything and smells bad, but also probably could rock your world in some way? What's his flaw or a list of flaws that you're like, no, he doesn't fall into this category?
Right. Because I made Star-Lord. He was like 2 or 3 on my list last time because I was being chaotic and weird. Yeah, there will be a smell. He will be drunk. I don't know. I just don't. I see Star-Lord as he's, like I said, he's fun. Cassidy is funny, but I don't think he'll be fun to be with. I think he's going to be just like weird and shitty to you. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but he just doesn't do it for me. Star-Lord showers.
Okay. All right. I can agree to that. I don't think
he's wearing
Cassidy
Axe,
showers.
but at least he's used soap. That's the difference.
Harsh but fair.
All right, Chris, really, Adam at number 1. Like,
Yes, 100%.
seriously, like, okay, what makes you think you are going to be a person that he thinks is, like, worth his time? You're just going to get that, like, surface level or whatever. I don't think you're going to be, you, sir, are no Tilda Swinton. I don't think you can pull that out of him.
To be fair, Claire, isn't the conceit of the show that they're into you?
Enough to fuck you, but I don't know, maybe. I just don't see his emotional walls coming down that easy. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's one of those cases where, like, if we're stipulating that Adam is into me, then based on his personality, he's not going to be hate fucking me. That's not his thing, right? So it implies a certain relationship. And it's true, that is kind of like rigging. But at the same time, I mean, this whole list, like, is it more or less realistic that Adam would be into me than that, like, I'm going to go fuck Salma Hayek? I mean, it's the... You know, that's the show. It's the fantasy. And I think, like, the fact that he's in this, like, long-term relationship really shows, like, I want this, like, angsty anti-hero, like, Louis kind of thing from Interview with the Vampire. But in many cases, that's not sustainable. I think, though, the real deep funk that Adam has gotten into is sort of like a stable orbit where he's going to have his ups and downs, but his approach to life is fundamentally romantic, and that gives me what I want long term.
All right.
On top of the music, like, I mean, I have to say, like when it comes to dudes, I'm pretty, like, I feel like I'm a little more sophisticated when it comes to women, but when it comes to dudes, like, if you can, like, sing or play an instrument, it's like, I have a very basic level of sexual, you know, it's like, all you got to be able to do is play guitar. Yeah.
I do like doomy post-rock. Like, I gotta... You're winning me over a bit, Chris.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say, unless there are any other questions. Anybody else want to fight about it?
I would just like to, another point, by the way, just another, to throw some more shade on Queen of the Damned. His music is a fuck ton better than Korn.
Oh, jeez.
God, that fucking movie.
I had that CD and it was terrific.
Bob, is that what our fucking Let's Unpack This is going to be about? Queen of the Damned?
There was a song by Kidney Thieves. It made me feel things whenever I was youthful.
I would give a kidney to never see that movie again.
Bob, you really rated the Dimitrescu of fandom.
Yes.
Which is fully counter to the actual portrayal of the character. I think nurturing makes you feel safe, all the things, big mom energy is the opposite of Dimitrescu in the game. So how do you deal with that? Is it legitimate to say that those are the same characters that we're rating? Or is this almost like peak Dracula, where it's I decided to rate fanfic Lady Dimitrescu?
This is just like your passion for Wormtongue from the first episode.
I'll be honest, the biggest sin that I committed here was not just that I took the fanfiction portrayal. It is that I blithely assumed that the fanfiction portrayal had to be at least somewhat accurate. It was that's probably close enough.
The fanfic version of the character came because of a trailer before the game came out.
But I didn't think the trailer would betray me. So my question for all of you is, what do y'all got against bad sex? Why y'all rank Viago so low?
Excuse me, Bob, are you asking us what do we have against bad sex? What do you have against bad virgin sex, huh?
But that's my thing, is that I think Viago is the other kind of virgin sex. I think it's the bad kind of virgin sex where you're like, oh my God, you came in my eye. I think it's going to be a goddamn disaster. And that is so fucking appealing to me, but I don't get why it's not appealing to other people.
You don't get why, oh my God, you came in my eye.
I know, help me to understand your world.
I mean, I said I liked Vision. I think that with somebody like Vision, it was it's worth it to get through this because this is a really interesting person. And Viago's sweet, but he's kind of simple. I don't know. For me, it's not really worth it. He's very nice. He will make someone very happy someday. It will not be me.
I did rate Viago low because of being bad at sex, but I think it's because of the nature of this list that we're talking about some real pros here. It's Viago is first week of American Idol. Yeah, good for you. Nobody expected, blah, blah, blah. But, ultimately, at a certain point, real singers, please. So, after much labored spreadsheetmanship, I have the complete list. Let's get it. Starting from the bottom, tied for number 20 are Edward Cullen and David Powers.
Yep.
Yes. Number 19, Lestat.
Good job, Kit. You pulled him up just a little bit.
Number 18, we have Therese and Jeanette Vorman. Then tied for number 16, Lady Dimitrescu and Carmilla. Number 15, we have Laurel. And then tied for number 13 above her, we have Cassidy and Celine. So we have Laurel, and then if you don't like bad people, one step above that, we have Cassidy. Right in the middle of the list, here at the median, we have a tie between Viago and the Countess at 11.5.
Wow.
I want to see those two fuck.
Yeah! Give me that!
Different.
One step up at number 10, we have Blade. At number 9, we have Maximilian. Above him at number 8 is Adam. And above that, number 7, Alucard. At number 6, Akasha. At number 5, Pam. There's also a rest of her name to go with that, but I'm going to say Pam. Tied for number 3, we have Spike and Santanico.
Wow.
Jeez.
Number 2, Vampirella. And who I hasten to point out, I voted her high too, but she really has nothing going for her but a tiny red outfit. But sometimes it's enough.
That's enough.
And then number 1, Dracula.
Fuck yeah. As it should be.
Objectively correct, probably.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, can't beat the classics.
And do we know what our true median is?
It's between Viago and Countess, so let's see how close we were in rating them.
I imagine that we probably agree more on Viago. But.
Yes, I mean, Viago it was second place for Bob, so the spread on Countess is 4th place for Kit, 18th place for Claire. So yeah, I think it's going to be the Countess.
Wow.
My bad decision making pulls through again.
Yeah.
We had less spread on the Countess?
Pretty sure. Let me double check. I was saying those numbers and therefore not listening to them, but hold on.
Oh, I don't have less spread for the Countess, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, hey, it's the same. It's 14.
So they belong together, entwined in an undead embrace.
She's gonna murder him.
Not if he comes in her eye first.
Okay, if you see
he will come very fast, to be true. So there's a good chance of that. So we have a very sweet, very good person who is bad at sex from a very well-written thing. And then we have someone else who is the exact opposite in every way.
Yin and yang is what we have achieved.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
So it's time to assign this whole, not really a universe, but like this whole sort of subgenre, whatever, an overall fuckability rating. Out of 10 boners, how fuckable are vampires?
I'll go first. 6 boners.
Okay.
Now, that may sound low, but look how high Vampirella is on this list. And she's fine. She's great. She's fine. But I was surprised at how flat my feelings were on a lot of these, that a lot of them were very close to each other. They're all kind of a mixed bag in just varying degrees. So a thing that I have learned from doing a lot of the Fuck, Marry, Slay podcast is how not fuckable most vampires are. They're all kind of disasters. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
yeah,
for me at least, it's a big old mixed bag with them.
No, I'm going to follow up on that and say I give this a 5. And that's maybe being a little bit generous. Like I almost might say 4, just because they're like Superman. Like it's a very generic set of powers. It feels like they're like, oh, super strong, super sexy, super, it's just very, they're not monstery enough. I want to fuck a monster. They're not really that monstery. I need werewolves is what I'm saying.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to need to show you some pictures of my Dracula.
Ooh, yum yum.
You'll get your monster fixins.
My Dracula could beat up your Dracula.
It's funny that you say that, Bob, because I have the exact opposite thing about werewolves and vampires. Like, werewolves are too samey for me. There's slight variation, but it's the same thing. Whereas, like, with these vampires, I mean, if you look at the whole range, like, I mean, David has these illusion powers. Lestat can fly. There's all this, like, Alucard Kit's Alucard can turn into these monstrous forms. Vampirella can grow.
I thought you were going to say he can cry during sex.
Alucard can cry during sex. Viago can come in your eye.
I mean, Dimitrescu, it's like virtually every one of them has like a special thing that is different from other vampires. The Dracula from the novel apparently fucking bleeds coins. I don't know if that's like a detail that didn't get into later vampire mythos, but like, yeah. So it's to me, it's all over the place. This is like a 9 for me, just because.
Wow.
I mean, the sheer preponderance of characters in this list who must be absolutely great at sex, like whether it's a bad idea or not, compared to like, let's say Lord of the Rings or something like that. Yeah. Some of those characters might be fine in bed. We don't really know. Whereas this is like maybe the top 10 of them have to be like top notch in any other genre. Like you would think this is the person who for sure can fuck.
You're true.
Strong argument. Kit?
This is out of 10 boners?
Yeah.
69. Come on! As a vampire's whole thing is sexuality, I'm a goth. What do you want from me?
That is a fair ranking.
I'm a simple country goth.
So, what did we learn today?
I think what I learned is that, I'm not against stalkers, but they have to be the creepy kind. That I only like the scary ones.
Yeah, what's that about? Why is Why is Edward's form of stalking like so unattractive, whereas these monsters that are definitely gonna eat us is like, oh yeah. It's the danger, isn't it?
This is sort of my theory about Laurel. I think that if you are sufficiently nice, then you get judged by a different rubric. And that's why it's like, oh, Edward is a bad person because he does this. Laurel is a bad person because she does this. But the literal monsters on the list, it's like, it's a totally different standard. Like they're not,
Yes.
they're not hanging around being cool wearing a flannel shirt.
Sure. I think what I learned about myself is I want you to be a good person, or at the very least sad.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've done a lot of talk about fucking vampires before, so it's hard to dig deep for something that was new here. Honestly, I think the biggest thing was probably the version of Dracula I found, the ballet Dracula. That, like, very political and yet super erotic ballet version is like, it really opened me to seeing the story of Dracula in a different way. Like, I love the fact they start with Lucy, and she's really central to the story rather than starting with Jonathan. It's a different way to look at Dracula. And I guess that's what I learned. I looked at a lot of different versions of Dracula for this, and a lot of Dracula analogs, kind of like, Carmilla or A Vampire in Brooklyn. And goddamn, Dracula's a good story.
Yeah,
it is. Well, today I learned that Bob and I do actually share an appreciation for peepums. I just like me a secret peepums. Secret goth peepums.
If that Gandalf had a facelift and dyed his beard black, this would be a different thing.
No. I don't like a beard. You gotta put all that beard hair up on your head.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right. And that brings us to the end of our show. So I want to go around and ask anybody if you got plugs.
If you liked hearing me talk about how much I want to fuck certain vampires relative to other vampires, you should listen to World of Dumbness, Fuck, Marry, Slay, which is a podcast that is available exclusively if you subscribe to the Patreon of Mega Dumbcast. But Chris, it's just like, what, $1 a month?
Yeah.
Is that, you get it then, right?
Yes, it's $1 a month. I'm only charging, honestly, because I need to have a Patreon so I have somewhere to host the Megasodes. So
yes.
Yeah.
Pay your $1 and you get Fuck, Marry, Slay every month. This is a great time to advertise it because it just ended.
We got like 16 episodes or something,
It has a
right?
bunch of episodes, and there are more coming out because I have moved on to World of Dumbness, Fuck, Marry, Slay, Bloodlines, where we're talking about the bloodlines from Vampire the Masquerade, since we've finished up with the clans, and that's with a rotating guest host as opposed to co-host Claire. So all that's really good, and all the clans are done. So if you like Vampire the Masquerade and you join up now, then all those episodes are ready for you to listen to.
It's very fun. Definitely go throw that $1 at Chris and get you some delicious vampire content.
And horny fanfic that we write.
Oh, God. It's very juicy.
Is it fanfic if it's our own characters? I guess it's just fiction.
We need a new word for this strange invention.
And with that, and the distant howling on the moors, and a creepy fog rolling in that we can't really explain, we leave you on this most creepiest of seasons. Come back next time whenever Hard Choices arises from the grave to haunt your loins again. Oh, that's super gross!
Disclaimer, Hard Choices does not actually take any responsibility for if you go looking for a fuck that will definitely eat you. That's on you. But go get it, girl.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Review the show if you have the time and the inclination, and have a great spooky season. Bye! This has been Hard Choices. If you like the show, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review on the podcatcher of your choice. It shows people what's fun about the show and makes it easier for others to find it too. Hard Choices is produced by Megan Bob. Our theme song is Funk Me by Soundroll. This piece and all music used in this production is licensed through Uppbeat. You can find details in our show notes and listen to more great tunes at uppbeat.io, spelled UPPBEAT.io. The Hard Choices logo is designed by Claire Mulcairn. If you'd like to get into touch with us, look for the Smash Fiction Fan Faction on Facebook and join the conversation. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. You're a peach!
We honor you, Count. However, this is as close as Hard Choices is ever going to get to Sesame Street. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, I think I could sexualize a Muppet. I think I have trouble sexualizing the Sesame Street Muppet specifically. I think the line for me is between the like Muppet Show Muppets and the Sesame Street Muppets.
Don't worry. When we get to Hard Choices, the Muppets, Chris and I will take a long, hard look at the list and we will make the right choices. Don't worry. Not choices you want us to make, but the correct.
I legit was going to get into this conversation. I was like, nah, I'm saving it for the Muppet episode.
Number 11, Lady Dimitrescu. A 9-foot-tall, mass-murdering cannibal aristocrat that apparently makes everyone on the internet want to say, "Step on me, mommy." Sorry, that's gross. Is that too much?
No, it's great. No, that's great.
Well, that's the one I'm keeping.
From Resident Evil. By the way, real quick, it is pronounced Lady Dimitrescu. I did cite that my mom is Romanian, and if you have a problem with that, my Twitter handle is @ClaremoKaren. Thank you.
Look, I'm very attracted to Santanico, but I feel like I can't take that into consideration because I am not a pan person, unlike you guys. So I can't just do that. It's cheating. It would all be all the hot ladies at the top.
I respect your dedication.
Well, there's also like a thing about the kind of seediness and weirdness that it is that's hot.
Sure.
Like, it's not just that she's a hot lady. It's like, it's that shitty, gross kind of hot. And it's kind of great.
Well, what you're trying to convince us of, Bob, is that you want to fuck Selma Hayek because of the temperature. Got it. I just one more thing I have to say to Bob's point. Like, this list isn't a great list because all vampires are the same, yet our median is a tie between Viago and the Countess.
There you go.
All right. Maybe I just feel samey about vampires, but I feel samey about werewolves, but just in a different way. I'm like, yay!
No, I got you.
You're a hairy monster.
Love a werewolf me. Good puppers fuck. That's it. I'm never gonna say that again.
No, I'll cut that. Don't worry.
Never gonna say that again.
I dare you to make that t-shirt.